And now we want to get to surprise testimony from Aurora police officer Nathan Woodyard in the Elijah McClain death case.
Woodyard is one of the officers charged with killing McClain back in 2019. Prosecutors argue he put McClain in the hold that rendered him unconscious, contributing to Elijah McClain's death. Today in court, Woodyard spoke about the moments before he stepped away from the scene, minutes before Elijah McClain was injected with a lethal dose of the sedative ketamine.
There were officers with him. I thought he was safe.
Did you trust other officers would take care of him?
I did.
Did they?
No. I know that now.
Denver 7 reporter and attorney Jessica Crawford is breaking down Woodyard's testimony.
Jessica, prosecutors are putting Woodyard's actions that night under the microscope.
Yes, and this is such an emotional and a very graphic case. We remember that video right after everything happened, just floating around in the media. People across the country have seen video of Elijah McClain in this carotid hold. Now, Nathan Woodyard, who took the stand today, is the one accused of putting him in that hold. Opposing counsel questioned Woodyard about McClain's breathing and if he could have done more to make sure that he was able to breathe. Now, Woodyard acknowledged the only way for the fire department to treat in custody complaints is if they know about it, and that yes, Woodyard did not notify firefighters of McClain's difficulty breathing.
That you were trained on, because it illustrates the dangers of ignoring somebody's complaints that they can't breathe, right?
Yes.
Now, Jessica, the clip we just heard from Officer Woodyard's testimony seems to implicate him for not following policy.
And I guess the question is, what is the benefit to Woodyard, particularly since the other officers did not testify on their own behalf?
And a lot of times we don't see defendants testify on their own behalf. But again, Nathan Woodyard, who took the stand today, he's the one accused of putting him in that hold. So he's arguably in a more challenging position than the officers who chose not to testify in that last trial. His choice to testify is strategic. It kind of allows him to, as the defendant, own that narrative a little bit more. He can admit to what he did wrong and then try to get some compassion and some understanding from the jury off of that. And we did hear him say, yes, that he would do things differently if he could go back in time. We heard him say that it would have been practical to have just had a conversation with McClain instead of grabbing him. Now, all of this goes to his credibility, so that when he says there are things that he did not do wrong, that the jury will believe him. He's trying to make the point, yes, there are things I did wrong, but when I walked away, he was awake, he was talking in complete sentences, he was conscious, coherent. The argument is that he did a lot of things wrong, but that he did not kill anyone. Now, in the last trial, attorneys for both defendants pointed to ketamine as the cause of McClain's death. Well, it appears that Woodyard is really following suit in this trial. His major challenge, though, is that he is the one on the video applying that carotid hold that has really become one of the centerpieces to this case. So arguably, he has really the most challenging set of facts of all the officers.
Fascinating. All right, Jessica, thank you.
And we do have a full breakdown of Officer Woodyard's trial in the death of Elijah McClain right now on denver7.com/Elijah McClain.